Today, I wouldn't even be here telling you this if NATO would not intervene against Serbia and Milosevic back in 1999.
We now have a moment of hope.
Do you have any idea how many kids of my generation were murdered by Serbia 25 years ago? How many of you think why NATO bombed Serbia? Or better yet, think about what would happen if NATO would not intervene against Serbia to stop the terrible war in Kosovo. The entire people of Kosovo would disappear, while the democratic world would be blaming itself for not stopping genocide Serbia did against Kosovo people. When the democratic world was hoping for end of war, the opposite happened. Serbia rejected the peace agreement. This happened in Rambouillet, France, in February and March 1999. All attempts failed because Slobodan Milosevic and Serbia had other plans. Serbia intended to destroy all Kosovo people and make this accomplished fact. The peace conference in Rambouillet took place after many and many massacres Serbia did against Kosovo people. A year earlier, in March 1998, Serbian military, paramilitary and police units massacred Jashari family in Prekaz, Skenderaj. The military attacks against Kosovo families were repeated. Horrific and unhuman massacres in Likoshan, Čerez, Abri, Poklek, Izbic, Mej, Suharek, Trne, Kruše Mode, Čyshk, Dubrov, Kotlin, Bela Crk, Rezol, Slovi, Kolec, Makoc, Grashtic, Gusk, Dobrosh, Korenic, Rečak. The Albanians could not longer live in their homes, not in the streets, not in the hospitals, nor in the mountains. Even the prisoners could not live. The massacre in Dubrova prison was terrible. For nearly 10 years, Kosovo people were experiencing apartheid. Children in the schools were poisoned in mass. Then school buildings were only for Serb kids. There were no Albanians and no Albanian language in public administration. Albanian doctors worked in private homes because health premises were only for Serbs. Being an Albanian and sick in 1990s was a curse. The athletes could not play. Sports was reserved only for Serbs. The Albanian artists suffered. The Serb artists enjoyed it. People of Kosovo were determined for freedom. With peaceful resistance for nearly 10 years, made the world aware about the reality. They organized parallel life in health and education, sports, culture and social issues. With Ibrahim Rugova leading, people of Kosovo were hoping the world will prevent the war. The Balkans Gandhi oriented people towards the values of democracy. But sufferings were great, unstoppable. During 5 decades after World War II, anyone who raised a voice for freedom and equality was either killed or arrested. Adem Democi served 28 years in Serbian prisons. The Balkans Mandela was the example how Albanians suffered under Serbia's occupation. The war that would come later was not the choice of Kosovo people. Kosovo men and women formed the Kosovo Liberation Army. Inspired by Adem Jashari, KLA managed to be the most successful guerrilla in history. Kosovo suffered really much under Serbia's occupation. But this was not the first time in history. Kosovo people never wanted to live under Serbia or with Serbia. After weakening and dissolution of Ottoman Empire, people of Kosovo experienced violence, ethnic cleansing and genocide by Serbia. Kosovo was occupied and as such remained under Serbia for nearly a century, until 1999 when NATO stopped Serbia's savagery. Even after World War II, Kosovo failed to gain self-determination. At the Bujani Conference in 1944, representatives of Kosovo made the decision to self-determination. Almost all of them then were killed, and Kosovo was reoccupied by Serbia. A large part of Kosovo Albanians were deported unfairly to Turkey. Serbian occupation was a known experience of suffering within Kosovo Albanians. After World War I, the Kingdom of Southern Slavic, in Serbian Kraljevina Yugoslavia, was a nightmare. Kosovo Albanians experienced violence, terror, deportation, and ethnic cleansing from 1918 to 1941 from Serbian royal ruling. Serbian hegemony had no borders. We are talking about Kosovo the world knows today. But in 1870s, Serbia made the genocide against Albanians in the southeastern part of today's Serbia. Even today in Kosovo, tens of thousands of families are known as displaced. 140 years of displacement. Serbia has again implemented the deportation of civilian population. Over half of Kosovo people were forcibly deported outside Kosovo. But the democratic world supported us. Democratic world stood up for truth, justice, and freedom. As the world had gone through 2 world wars, the Cold War, decolonialization, communism collapsed, democracy was being spread. The democratic world could not just stay and see how one of Serbian leaders has decided to fight against everyone. Slobodan Milosevic was also named the Balkans Butcher because he has massacred almost 500,000 people in Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Kosovo. This is where he was stopped. Then he was arrested and tried in Hague Tribunal for genocide, ethnic cleansing, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. Kosovo, held by NATO, stopped Milosevic and Serbia. After a 78 days campaign, NATO won the war. Serbia was forced to withdraw the army, police, paramilitary, and administration from Kosovo. Finally, Kosovo was liberated. A new life began. All the refugees turned back in few months. NATO troops deployed in Kosovo and helped the people building a new era, building democracy, building local and national institutions. Even today, NATO is in Kosovo. It ensures peace and stability. Simply and clearly, NATO's intervention was more than necessary. It was a salvation. It is and will remain the proudness of democratic world. The international military forces in Kosovo today secure peace and stability. In our next video, we will talk more about the role of international military presence in Kosovo, about the mandate of KFOR. We will provide facts how Serbia is challenging NATO and KFOR. It is continuously violating the military technical agreement between NATO and Serbia in 1999 and UN Security Council Resolution 1244.